Back at a Father's Love. I'm feeling good. Got my man Jeff here. And it's good to be back, man. And I got to, talk to Jeff briefly as we started today. And I'm just grateful. Jeff, you want to tell the people who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Like, where do I start, though?
Go ahead, man, Jeff. Yeah, wherever you want to go with it.
My name's Jeff. Right now, I just got recently employed at Fresh Coast Alliance. I'm a recovery coach.
Salute.
So I'm going to go backwards with it all then. Before recovery coach, I was a participant at Fresh Coast.
Okay.
17 months in the sober houses there. So now I'm almost 23 months sober.
Dope.
Clean and sober from meth and everything else.
Yeah.
I spent a significant amount of time in prison. 16 years altogether. That's just a surface level thing.
I appreciate
I don't know
that.
much what else to say about it.
Nah, man, 16 years. It's so crazy, bro. The freedom you've experienced in life now, you don't look like what you've been through. I will
Everybody
tell you
says
that. You do not look like you've been through what you've been through. So I'm glad to have you here, man. I've got to hear some rumors about. I don't say rumors. Some rumors sound bad. I got to hear things about who you are and how kind you are, how good of a heart, how on fire you are, your passions. And then I got to watch a couple of your videos through my boy Lucas.
Yeah, he doesn't edit anything out either.
Yeah, I know. I've seen them. I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen your cook-up videos, all of that. So I'm glad you're here today on this platform. We're switching gears a little bit. We're talking about your love as a father and your journey as a father. And to correct me, you have how many children?
Two.
Two, all right.
Yeah.
Two.
Two boys.
Two boys.
Yep.
Two boys. And I know you've had an interesting story within fatherhood. How old are your boys?
Jacob is 8 and Hunter is 5.
Hunter is 5. Okay.
Yep.
And you now, I hate to give a spoiler so early, but you now have full custody of your children?
Yes.
Full custody of your children.
Full custody. On the 4th, I got full custody.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, I know we've been talking about how passionate we are about fatherhood. Where does your passion for fatherhood come from?
My passion to be a father?
To be a father.
I think, to be honest with you, I'm going to be straight up.
Go ahead. Keep it a buck.
I didn't always have a passion to be a father, even after my kids were born. I stayed in the streets and into my addiction, and just recently I kind of realized that I didn't, for the majority of their lives, I didn't have love for them. I did. Like, I would say I love my kids, blah, 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 but I didn't feel love, right? And so I'm kind of a baby Christian, a couple years into being a Christian. And I experienced the love of a father through God, right? Like, he's, and I'm learning, it was awesome, right? I started following it when I started getting my unsupervised visits, right? I get to be around them, hang out with people without people like manipulating and controlling all of our little moves. Like, so I just get to be a dad, right? And I started noticing, like, I was falling, and this is for anybody, like my parents, I never experienced an agape type of love, right? And I noticed there's a couple of times where I started noticing I was falling in love with my kids, right? Like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like, my heart's pounding right now.
I feel it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wait a minute. Is this what really true love is? And then so my kids are teaching me not only the love of a father, but also the love of my father, right? So as I'm a father to my kids, which sometimes I'm not the best, right? But as I'm a father, being a father to my kids, I'm realizing what God has to be thinking with me, like with grace and mercy and all these things. Like, so that's where my passion comes from being a dad.
I can see that. And you talked about your relationship with your father.
My dad?
Your dad. Yeah. You
Like
talk
my
about
dad,
your
yeah.
Heavenly Father, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about God.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. You talk about your relationship with your Heavenly Father. I'm sorry. And then, but I am going to correlate that. You said earlier on you didn't necessarily have that love for your children starting off.
No.
My question is, what was the relationship? I know how your Heavenly Father relationship has affected you becoming a better father. What were some things that you had to go through? I don't know the relationship with your biological father, but what are some things that you had to experience with that?
As a child?
As a child, but how has it impacted you as a father?
I think with my dad, right? My dad loved me so much he wanted to be my friend. So I still look at my dad as just a friend, right? Like, it's hard. Like, he was always a buddy to me, right? And there's something that I'm going to break that cycle with my kids. Like, yes, I want to be your friend, I want to be your buddy, but first and foremost, I'm your father, right? Like, so with my dad, I think he taught me how to be the fun-loving dad, but he's also teaching me that that's not what you're supposed to do constantly. You know, there needs to be discipline. There needs to be, a
balance in it.
Yes. So I guess that's really all I can say.
No, I got you. I got you. No, I got you. All right. And before we start filming, you started talking about a little bit of your journey into fatherhood. And it didn't start with, obviously, you having full custody. What have been some hurdles and some things that you've had to experience in your journey in fatherhood?
As in early
on, before you had custody, like, how did we get to, I guess, not having custody? There had to be a time you didn't have custody to not have custody.
Well, that's a long story. That's like a Jerry Springer type
I got
thing.
you. If you had to give us it doesn't have to be everything that you've experienced, but
yeah,
to put some of it in context.
I mean, my journey started off with, my kid's mom. She's passed away now, but the journey started off as kind of like an accident to have kids, and then as soon as she got pregnant, we realized we didn't really mesh at all. So it was always a constant battle to even try to be a dad.
Okay.
She was very possessive and controlling over my kids, and just to be like, we're on here to be real, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
She, a lot of times she used them as leverage or a tool, and I never really got to experience having an opportunity to be a dad to them. So it just turned into me just kind of avoiding any opportunity to be a dad. You know what I mean? I went to prison, went to the streets, ended up using drugs, and they're in the farthest regions of my mind when I'm there. So, like, really, I didn't really get to start thinking about or being a dad until I went to prison this last time.
Okay.
And I decided I'm going to do everything in my might and my power and my will to be their dad.
Wow.
And that started in prison. I called them all the time. I started writing them, and I never did that before because I figured it wouldn't even get to them, so.
Was it you didn't do it because you figured they weren't going, that was the 100% reason because you felt like they weren't going to get it? Or was it some of the things that you've already battled of not being an involved father?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, it's just like I said, I intentionally put it in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, it is what it is. I'm gone. So. But this last time I was in prison, I made a conscious decision, and I said, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be their father. So I did all that, got out, and just went through the process of court. Because I come home, and they're with a guardian.
Yeah.
My Heather, I will use her name. Heather passed away, and they need to be with their dad.
They need.
So.
Is backtracking, you said you made this choice that I need to be there. Mm-hmm. Where did the tug start? Where did it begin? When did the thoughts start happening?
When their mother passed away.
That's so instantaneous. Once that started happening, I have to be there for my children.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then your first step was starting to write letters, starting to make phone calls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I started drawing them cards. I'm an artist, so I draw them cards or whatever. And they got them. I got them now.
All right.
Yeah, the guardian. She had them, kept them, and yeah, and that kind of started the thought in my mind, like, I can be this to them. I can be there. Just with little cards and notes, you know, like, and I just wanted them to know, like, look, I'm here for you. You know, they didn't even know me.
Yeah.
They didn't know that I was there, you know, so so I started with that, got out.
I'm sorry, I hate to step again. So you sent the cards out, and they called you back, or they wrote you back first?
They're too little for that. I had to call them on the phone.
I got you. You called them. You called them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to. Do you remember that feeling of making the first phone call after not talking to them in a while?
Yeah.
You do? What was that like? What was that day like?
I don't know how to explain that feeling, bro.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a lot of tears.
Oh, okay.
Just and then their little voices, man. You know, like their little voices, it just melts you, bro.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
like,
No, that's good. Okay. I didn't know it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be some mixed feelings, but it sounds like it was more overwhelming with joy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was gonna be hesitancy, the fears of what are the questions going to be.
Oh, there was that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of that.
I'm glad you pushed past that, because I know working with other fathers, that shame will keep you away.
I think that's how I push past it. I'm just like with everybody else, bro. Most of the time, I'm just an open book.
Yeah.
So even with them, like they've already heard a lot of false stories. They've already heard a lot of stories, right? So they already know about me, and a lot of people told them I was in jail, in prison, and this and that. So I just got out and said, you know what? I'm not gonna lie to my kids about nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So if they ask a question, I tell them.
Okay.
You know, they already know, and I feel like they need to know the truth.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really big on transparency wherever
I believe.
you're at.
For some reason, I believe you.
yeah, right.
All right, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so to this time, you come home and you start to build this relationship before you got home, because there's phone calls, there's cards. I know immediately your first thought is like, all right, man, I'm ready to kick it with my kids. Am I correct?
Yes.
And what is that? So you're now home. What does this process look like of now reunification?
That's a tough subject, man. Like I'm not trying to say nothing bad about nobody. It was just
and you don't have to give details. You don't have to leave any name, and it can be very, just to put it in context.
Okay, so pretty much it was a struggle to get to a place to where I could see my kids regularly.
I got you.
You understand what I mean?
That sums it up.
So my first step, once I realized that, was learn the law.
Yeah.
And I started following my emotions. And slowly and surely, I got my visits. And it was, I think the coolest part was watching the transformation with them.
Yeah.
At first, all they did was, when do we go home? When do we go home? When do we go home? And then after a couple of weeks of visits, they're like, when do we got to go home? You know, and then they're like, we don't want to go back. And then it's like, when can we come move in with you, Dad?
Wow.
You know, it was just like, and that's type of stuff that builds my fire for you. You know, like they want to be with their dad. You know, like they love their dad, and I am their dad, and I love them. You know, so it's like, that's what motivates me.
I like that.
You know,
after doing, time consecutively and then getting home, if today someone was now being who hasn't been in the picture with their children is now saying, okay, I'm making a choice to be involved, what would be some words of encouragement or some steps that you would suggest that they take with themselves to prepare?
I really believe that this is what helped me. I cut off everybody.
Okay.
I didn't want to hear no. When I say that, I mean like this. A lot of people will try to speak into your life or try to tell you how to do it or what you should do or what you shouldn't do. My thing was, I know what I got to do. I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to keep pushing forward. I don't let anybody really, unless I respect their opinion.
I got you.
Like, just
cautious
don't listen.
of who you let speak in your life.
And don't listen to the naysayers, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to tell you can't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
you heard that a lot.
Yes, the entire time. Or there's people that'll try to block you out, you know, or stop you from doing what you're trying to do. So what I did, I didn't respond to nobody. I got off Facebook. Wasn't on Facebook for almost 2 years. Like, I got off everything. I didn't respond to any texts. I only had certain people on my phone, and I just did what I had to do. I knew what I had to do, and I went that direction.
How did you know you were ready?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I just knew it, you know.
You just knew, just felt it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like do you feel like you were in a place yourself? Like, I know you talk about some of your battles with addiction and things like that in the past, but you have to, knowing everything that you've been through, trauma that maybe your kids experienced through your journey in life and trying to figure it out, you have a responsibility too to be like, okay, am I in a place to step in? And that's more what I'm asking you to speak to right now.
It's a good question. I knew I wasn't ready.
Okay.
I still might not be ready.
Right,
you know,
right.
We're learning as we go.
Okay.
But when I come into recovery house, like people there know, like I did a very calculated journey.
Yeah.
Right. It took me 2 years. I just got them. I could have went and got my own apartment, did this and did that, but I built a solid foundation with small steps, one step at a time. Right. Like I didn't rush into things. Like, and when I got to a place where I knew I was going to be financially stable, and secure in my recovery, knowing that I was going to be able to provide for them, and that's when I made the choice. I'm fine, because filing motions in the court, it's all steps anyway.
It is.
I waited to the time where I felt like I don't think anybody's ready to be a parent, right?
I hear you.
I had no clue what I was stepping into, just so we're clear.
Yeah, it ain't no manual for this.
And I felt like I was ready when I filed my motion, like it was small steps.
It sounds like it. Even in the reaching out, like, okay, I started making some contact. Like, it sounds like then I got supervised visits, and then we got more time and more time. I respect that. That was your approach too. A lot of times people say, well, I'm father, although I've been gone, I deserve full custody. I deserve I deserve everything that I want off rip, but understanding the process and the little by little steps that it takes. So that's why I asked that question, because to me, a lot of people that I work with, and men that I've been able to, help navigate this, we've been able to navigate together. Let me clarify, this fatherhood journey is the small steps in between that it takes to get not only relationships with your children, but even some of the outcomes when we talk about the custodial pieces too, that legal piece. So, all right, now I appreciate you saying that. So now, you through all these steps, through this process, as you continue to grow, you continue to get stronger in your recovery every day, continue to build a stronger support system. What do you rely on today? What are the things that you need to continually to build to become a better father?
I think my biggest safety net is my community, man. Like, because I didn't grow up with secure family unit and all that stuff. But I found that in Kingdom Life and Fresh Coast, these are my people, right? And there's so many people that want to step in and help. I find my security in my community. And that's
in your village. You got to have a village approach. It takes a village.
It takes a tribe.
It takes a village. It takes a village. Tribe, same thing.
Yeah.
I think village sounds a little
village.
cooler.
You're right.
We're gonna roll
village
with village.
Is the right one.
I'm always right.
Yeah, I believe it. I ain't arguing with you, man.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Nah, Jeff, I appreciate your story. And before we get off today, you said something that spoke into my life deeply today, and it was about, I'm trying not to cry. It was about a part in this journey in being a father where you had to surrender your children. And that's not easy. It's not easy, but the importance of surrendering your children, there's certain process, there's certain trials that you're going to face in life where it's not going to be picture perfect. It's not going to, especially what people outside looking in may say about you, and this is what it looks like to be a father. How did surrendering your children play a role into you now being in the space of having full custody? Why was that an essential step?
I got goosebumps when you said that. I think because just like everybody says, like, you can't help anybody until you help yourself, right? Yeah. So while I'm trying to control and micromanage everything that involved my children and getting my kids. Even today, like I told you, I'm going to have to surrender to them again. And when I say surrender, I'm talking about to God, right?
There you go.
Because we got to work on ourselves, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest part, is being able to trust that God has everything under control.
Yeah.
Because he needs you to get yourself under control. Because if we're not under control, man, there's no way we can be productive fathers and good fathers, good loving fathers. Because what did you call it earlier? And it stuck with me. A checklist parent.
Checklist parent.
That's exactly what I am right now, man. And I don't like that. When I had them on the weekends, it was like we just were. We didn't have no responsibilities to take care of. We just hung out and we're cool, you know, like. But now it's like, somehow my mind morphed into this place. I got to get them to a place where they're this and that. And I'm gonna take a step back today. I'm taking a step back, and I'm gonna go to my secret place. I'm gonna get with God, and I'm gonna just tell him, like, look, man, because I need to get back with him too, man. I've been neglecting my relationship with him because I'm focused so much on them.
Yeah.
That's the point. What I was telling you earlier, like I was so focused on them, I was forgetting everything that I needed to do to get them.
Yeah.
Now I gotta let them go, man. I gotta let God teach them right now and pray that he does, you know, because it's just like Abraham and Isaac, right? Like God just wanted to see, do you trust me, bro?
Yeah.
Do you really trust me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put him on that altar, you know, like let him go.
Yeah. Nah. That's so good. That's so good. And we have to be in that place. We can't reflect God's love if we're not receiving it. If we're not trusting in him, then that's going to show up in our parenting. And I want to make that, you know, that surrenderance to God step with you today too, as I surrender my daughter and moving forward. So I just pray that we continue to have a time to build and to hold each other accountable in these things. You know, they're so important, and we need each other in these things. So I appreciate you today, Jeff. Man, I'm glad we got to connect, Jeff. I didn't know you was built like this, Jeff. I didn't know, you know, your test. I got to hear bits and pieces of it, and today we put it in some context. I know it'll have to be a part 2 where we can go more in depth. But the biggest thing I wanted you to do is encourage someone who is working through steps to be more involved in their child's life, no matter what the hurdles are. It is possible. But it starts with yourself. Yes. A drowning person can't save another drowning person. No. You got to learn how to swim. And sometimes learn how to swim and have a life jacket, which may be your community, whatever it is. But you need those supports in order to help someone else. So that's my prayer, is that we learn how to do that as fathers. And thank you again for your time, bro.
And another thing. One more thing.
Go for it. One more thing.
Remember grace, man.
Oh, man.
Grace, dude, for yourself and for your kids, man. That's the one thing that's been a pattern for me for the last couple of weeks, is just show some grace, man. They're not perfect, and you ain't perfect. Don't expect them to be, you know. Nobody is, you know what I mean? Just let them be.
Let them be. Yep. Grace. The grace is sufficient. All right. To give grace, to receive grace, so you can reflect grace.
Yep.
What you receive is what you can reflect. If you ain't got it, you can't give it.
Amen.
All right, man. Everybody have a good one. A father's love. My man, Jeff.